After stops in TV markets around the country, Robin Meade hits the big time on one of the biggest news days of the century. This is Mediabistro.
Look, things change.
Anyone with a camera and a computer
now
is a good
so
idea.
we pay attention
What's
to
the
where
user
they
value?
are.
We evolve. New York gripped by chaos.
My first day on the air was September 11th. At that time, CNN Headline News, so that's now HLN, it was transitioning from a bunch of digitized tape shows into all live programming. So at that point, someone else was doing the morning show, and it was my first day. I was going to be digitizing this stuff that was going to be on the air in the midday. So, it's the first time, yay, my mom and dad in Ohio get to see me. And I just remember those live pictures of the towers and the first plane crash. And I remember thinking, oh man, something must be so wrong with the air traffic control system, and I think a lot of us were telling ourselves that. And so I have to start doing that story. But when the second plane hit, it just really changed the entire atmosphere in the newsroom. And I remember looking around and seeing people outside the studio and their faces, and I automatically knew this can't be explained away now. This is not an accident.
And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
I remember some Judy Fortin, a longtime anchor at CNN Headline News, back when was that?
Live from CNN Center in Atlanta, this is Headline News. I'm Judy Fortin.
I remember her saying, there are trains that run underneath this building, you guys, if someone wants to get their message. Oh my gosh, someone could hit this building, the CNN Center. And automatically, I never thought about, when you cover a story, you cover the story. You don't really think of you. Right. And that one statement changed it, and suddenly I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're not just the reporter.
What do we do? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about that, because 10 years later, the cable news channels have sort of become the news. This cross-network sniping between Fox News and MSNBC and MSNBC and CNN and Fox News. HLN is sort of immune to it, especially your program and the daytime programs. Mm-hmm. But what do you make of this sort of, attacks back and forth as the cable news channels kind of get polarized?
I think I'm lucky in that working at HLN, I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have viewers, our studies will show, that might watch us in the morning and then go to Fox News, or watch us and maybe they are the clickers who might go to MSNBC. So I'm going to say that I'm lucky because I feel like I have a great cross-section of audience who come to our morning show because they know that we're so fair. I'll tell you what, behind the scenes, if I see that we've got 20 seconds for the Republican race for the presidency, then I'm like, we better have 20 seconds over here. And I mean, we will time it. We are so, how can I say?
Don't say fair and balanced.
No, I'm militant. I'm almost militant about making sure that things come across in I'm not leaning any which way. I mean, I'll make sure that I don't even make a face twitch that someone might interpret as having an opinion about those types of stories.
Well, and that's interesting because HLN bills itself as the news and views network, what we see in primetime with Jane or with Nancy. Yeah. It's certainly different than your show. So what would you...
Well, I'm allowed to have a view on things that I think the audience is thinking. For example, how many stupid criminal stories have you had? And what you want to go is, oh, you're a beaut.
Yeah, it's conventional wisdom.
I'll say that. And hats off to my bosses that they allow me to be me and authentic. Every now and then we might get in trouble because we'll actually say what you're thinking. But when it comes to politics, buddy, I won't go there. Yeah. Because people are so sensitive about it, and it's such a big issue, and it's such a big upcoming story that I take pride in the fact that people don't really look at HLN as taking sides when it comes to politics. But recently, here's an example of how we don't really filter ourselves on our show. We had a story about, do you remember the story about the woman who, she was taking her bag through security, and they had checked her bag, and she had an adult toy. And instead of saying something to her, whoever was checking her put a sticky note on the device and it said, "Get your freak on." And she was ticked off. And so we got the story, everyone did in the news media, because she had gone to the media and said, "Can you believe this guy did it?" Well, on the air, I was laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, What's so funny is this woman was more offended that someone put a sticky note, "Get your freak on," about that she was willing to tell the media, "Yeah, I walked through with an adult toy, but look what he did."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's like funny."
Right.
Like she's not embarrassed of that at all.
Right. And so you can take that kind of story and have some fun with it. And
Well, I just said that on the air. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, she's funny. I'd probably like to hang out with her.